Kicks off now, joined for the first time by Nicole Parker, former FBI special agent, she's a Fox News contributor. Nicole, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Let's dive into this, shall we? A story recently on, it's funny, friends of ours run the FBI now, Kash, Patel, and Dan Bongino. It's pretty amazing, the deputy and the director. And the FBI, under their leadership, has reassigned a few agents who had been photographed kneeling during the, quote, racial justice protests in 2020 after the death of George Floyd. First of all, what happened here? Like, how could this have gone on at the FBI in the first place? And is reassignment really a punishment? What can you tell us about this move?
All right. So first of all, I was in the Miami division working as an FBI special agent when this occurred. Those pictures were taken of the agents kneeling on June 4th of 2020. And internally at the FBI, those photos became popularly known as Kneel Team 6, kind of a sarcastic play on SEAL Team 6, Kneel Team 6 instead. And it was quite catastrophic internally at the FBI. I can tell you that agents were not happy. That is not a proper representation of who we are and how we should be behaving. And what they did, kneeling to George Floyd protesters, was unequivocally wrong. And current and retired agents were appalled by their actions. And it was embarrassing to good agents. Yet people say that because of these demotions and reassignments, there are other current and former FBI agents who are disgusted at their reassignments and disgusted at the demotions. So what I can tell you is that this is a clear example and clear demonstration of what I witnessed at the FBI. There really are two FBIs. Okay, I call it FBI 1 versus FBI 2. And the way I perceive it, FBI 1 were solid FBI agents that just came to do their job. They took an oath to uphold the Constitution and to protect the American people and to put all political persuasions aside. FBI 2 were those that oftentimes were in leadership roles. It wasn't just people in D.C. It was people from the top, and it trickled all the way down to the bottom. There were people in the support staff that also fall into FBI 2. These are individuals that use their law enforcement power to push their political and social agendas. And this demonstration of them kneeling, in my opinion, is the epitome of FBI 2 behavior. And FBI 1 was not happy about it because that is embarrassing and shameful behavior for an FBI 1 agent. And so
Nicole,
these agents, yeah.
No, I was just going to say, I thought you were finished answering that, but I was going to remind, you came on with us January 2nd, and I think this ties in with what you're saying right now. Right after the terror attack in New Orleans, they had an FBI agent go up and say that they didn't know whether this was a terror attack. How much do you think the culture has already changed inside of the FBI with Kash Patel now in charge and Dan Bongino second, based on what you're hearing?
So with them and this clear indication that this type of behavior is not tolerable, again, this happened in June of 2020, and they're taking action on it now almost 5 years later. I think what it shows is that Kash Patel means business. Okay, President Trump won. The FBI and DOJ were politically and socially weaponized. And there are two FBIs right now. I'm sorry, there are. And what Kash Patel and Dan Bongino and all other solid leadership, the Trump administration, Attorney General Pam Bondi, their goal is to make one FBI. We just want one solid FBI, and they're taking steps each and every day. Some of them are more publicly seen. Some of them are behind the scenes. But this, to me, is a huge, bold move that indicates they mean business, and people will be held accountable, and there will be tangible consequences. And without tangible consequences, the FBI will remain two FBIs. And so I like it. I think it's a bold move. I think FBI 1 is supportive of this because, again, this is not the demonstration of who we are. We know you do not wear your official FBI marked ballistic vest in public making a political and social statement and kneeling to protesters. It looked like those kneelers were in support of the cause of the George Floyd protesters. That is entirely inappropriate. You can never make political or social statements on FBI time, in FBI gear, and especially in public. And the FBI is to remain politically and socially neutral. And under the Biden administration in particular, that was not the case. And just
Well,
like
how did this
Trump
happen,
t-shirt,
Nicole? Can I ask, just because
T-shirt's inappropriate as well. You should not wear any political T-shirt ever at the FBI.
So when I was the CIA a long time ago, you could see that HR policy and some of the analyst cadre was just becoming more and more left wing all the time. And I think the HR and admin was really where it started, because, agency guys who had been in for a long time tended not to be woke, but then it started to become more woke and more left wing and more ideologically driven. How could this happen at the FBI, though, right? We all watch. I mean, we're talking about The Rock before. We think of the FBI as very by the book, spit and polish, all about the law. And you got a bunch of communists running the place under Biden. How did that happen?
I think how it happened is twofold. Again, there were people that have always been at the FBI that have not really been necessarily doing the right thing, that were appointed to high leadership roles and positions. I think also the FBI and their DEI hiring, their hiring standards changed drastically. So the type of individuals that they were looking to hire, agents and support staff, I would say changed drastically. And so now you have just a different shift in how the FBI used to operate versus how it is operating now. But again, immediately they are changing and increasing the physical fitness requirements to a higher level at the FBI in the test. They are getting rid of DEI entirely. There were 19 clubs and organizations, if you can believe that. How does the FBI have time for 19, social justice clubs? Until every single case and crime is solved at the FBI, there's no time for that. But that's what this last administration specifically focused on. I saw it under the Obama administration as well. But I think the key is getting to the root of the problem. And again, going back to the kneelers, they claimed that they were in fear of violence. They thought that, they were in fear for their lives. I personally saw no signs of violence or anyone being in imminent danger of death or serious physical injury. And in fact, many of the kneelers were clapping, they were smiling, they were cheering. And those are hardly signs of duress or stress.
Wait, just real quick. The FBI people claim they kneeled because they were scared?
Correct. These FBI agents.
Well, that's insane.
They said that they were in fear for their lives of serious violence breaking out. But yet and most of them are female, and they're clapping and cheering. Totally inappropriate. You don't look like you're in fear for your life. And if you're an FBI agent and you're in fear for your life because some protesters walk by, I can tell you I knew of other agents at surrounding buildings because they were asked to stand in front of posts in front of these buildings to protect them. Other agents at other buildings weren't kneeling, and there was no major violence breaking out of those. I didn't see anyone charging at these agents where they felt that their life was in serious, imminent danger of death or serious physical injury. I'm sorry. And I worked violent crime in Miami. If you are in fear for your life, the FBI highly trains us at Quantico. We go through firearms training. We go through defensive tactics training, quite extensive training. And if you are in fear for your life in that situation, with all due respect, you really should not be an FBI agent. Because if all you're capable of doing is working behind a desk and you're not able to, face potential violence, we are sworn law enforcement officers as FBI agents, and you need to be able to stand on your own 2 feet, literally, and not kneel. But again, there was no one charging at them, laughing and smiling. And then what was more disgusting to us internally, these agents were thinking, they're going to get disciplined. They're probably going to get fired. If not, they're going to get disciplined. Not only did that not happen, they got some of the most highly sought after positions at the FBI. They were offered $100 gift cards by the FBI Agents Association after that incident. It looked like they were rewarding them. And that's the FBI, too, that I worked under. And that is why I left the FBI, because myself and others looked at that and we said, this is wrong. This is embarrassing. This is shameful behavior. I want no part of this. And America needs to know what's going on here.
Nicole, thanks for coming on. And again, I love this perspective. Do you remember a moment you started and joined the FBI to try to catch bad guys like Buck joined the CIA? Do you remember a moment in time when you were working and things shifted? When did the culture, the vibe start to change as an FBI agent? Do you remember a moment, or was it a slow slide?
I would say it was a slow slide, but the defining moment that I initially noticed that the FBI was political, because I started in 2010, It would be in 2016 when Jim Comey got in front of the American people on July 5th of 2016, and he said that no reasonable prosecutor would charge Hillary Clinton. Well, fast forward, where was the reasonable prosecutor who wouldn't charge Donald Trump? And I'm like looking at it and I'm thinking, isn't that interesting? It's all about when it fits their narrative and when it's convenient for them. But this is not equal enforcement of the law. And for them to say that it is, that's insulting. It's insulting to the American people, and it's insulting to the FBI one agents. We're not stupid. Like, we knew exactly what was going on at the FBI. So for me, I would say July 5th of 2016, when Jim Comey got out there. Okay, so then Jim Comey gets fired, rightfully so. Christopher Wray comes in. We're hoping that he'll be better. He wasn't. He wasn't any better at all. And so it ramped up very strongly in the summer of 2020 when we noticed that the FBI was doing virtually nothing to stop these violent rioters from burning down our country. And then fast forward to January 6th of 2021, the FBI went full force for misdemeanors, and they did that for 4 straight years. But yet when our country was getting burned to the ground, virtually no response. January 6th, full force. And that happened over and over and over at the FBI. So, and then the social justice warrior emails, I started feeling like I worked for a social justice warrior club rather than a law enforcement agency. And I've talked about this. My best friend was killed. She was shot and killed in the line of duty executing a warrant against a child predator. There was no SWAT team for her, yet they were liberally sending SWAT resources in the same time frame for January 6th misdemeanors, but yet no SWAT team for the most violent offender that the FBI takes down. And now we have 2 dead FBI agents. Others were shot, but yet it was just so blatant. And then the FBI didn't even tell us what happened. They didn't even tell us what happened, but yet I got a DEI email almost every single day. Can you imagine how sad that was? My friend is dead. I don't know what's happened, but yet I need to be informed that there's 19 different clubs at the FBI for social justice warrior purposes. I wanted no part of that. That's not why I joined. And sadly, a lot of people like myself walked away from the Bureau. But the good part now is I do believe in redemption, and I do believe that there are so many good people still at the FBI. And the key is proper leadership and bringing the right people on board and getting the FBI back on track.
Outstanding stuff as always. Nicole Parker, encourage you guys to follow her on social media. Thank you for sharing your story, and thank you for giving us feedback on this. I wanted to make sure you came on when I saw it happen.
All right. Well, I love y'all so much, and keep up the good work, and God bless y'all.
Thank you so much. Nicole Parker will share her social handles as well. You see her a lot on Fox News, former FBI agent from Miami. Yesterday, another missile attack on Israel by Houthi rebels, and one of those missiles unfortunately evaded the Iron Dome, struck a parking lot right by the main Tel Aviv airport. That's the exact same airport we flew into and out of in Israel when we went there last December. The Houthis have fired over 24 missiles and drones into Israel recently. It's a constant reminder of an ever-present threat. The Israeli government appreciates the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews for their ongoing help to make sure the elderly, sick, and impoverished families don't fall through the cracks. Your gift to the fellowship today will provide life-saving aid, medicine, hearty meals, safety, and comfort. When we bless the people of Israel, we unlock God's blessing in our lives as well. Show your support for Israel by making a life-saving gift today. Call to make your gift at 888-488-IFCJ. That's 888-488-4325. You can also go online at supportifcj.org. One word, supportifcj.org.